علي يا علي علي يا علي ادركني يا أبا الحسن يا علي.
الله لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل، نعم المولى ونعم النصير. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي امري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. اعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي نور قلوبنا بشعاع انوار محبة العلوية وجعلنا من المتمسكين بولاية المرتضوية، الذي فرض الله محبته ومودته على العربية والعجمية، ثم الصلاة والسلام وتحية والإكرام على النبي الأمي المكي المدني الهاشمي الذي اسمه في السماء بأحمد وفي الأرض بأبي القاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى أهل بيته الأطيبين الأطهرين، سيما أولهم أمير المؤمنين وآخرهم بقية الله في الأرضين وروح وأرواح العالمين وأرواح الفداء. أما بعد, for the happiness of Hazrat Zahra Mazdiya, for the enlightenment of the graves of the Ummahumeen, of the graves of the Shuhada, Ulama and Siddiqeen, for the safety of the followers of Ahlul Bayt around the world, and for the safety and the hastening of the reappearance of Hazrat Baqiyatullah al-A'lam, and also for giving everyone a bit more energy when reciting salawat. Recite the loudest of your salawat. One of the things, incidentally, that removes tiredness is the recitation of salawat. So the more we recite it and the louder we recite it, the more energetic we become. So let's try that again, because you know IUS, I said it during Arba'een last year as well. You know, IUS have this horrible label of saying people who come to IUS don't recite salawat. And I'm trying to change that, and I'm trying to work with you here. So you've got to work with me as well. And so, you know, with the loudest of your voices, let us hear a salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So thank you. All praise is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who is Rahman and the one who is Rahim. It's an honor to be here in front of you, brothers and sisters, speaking on this auspicious occasion of Ghadir. By far, one of the greatest Eid for the Mu'mineen, but also one of the greatest days of sadness. Eid al-Ghadir is one of those bittersweet Eids. Happiness that the wilayat of Amir al-Mu'mineen was announced, and that the concept of imamat continued through Amir al-Mu'mineen. Because we know that imamat started from Hazrat Ibrahim. وَإِذِ ابْتَلَى إِبْرَاهِيمَ رَبُّهُ بِكَلِمَاتٍ فَأَتَمَّهُنَّ قَالَ إِنِّي جَاعِلُكَ لِلنَّاسِ إِمَامًا. When Ibrahim had completed all of his tests, he'd completed and overcome all of the trials from his Lord, and he had gone to the ultimate end, and that was ready to sacrifice his son Ismail, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made him an imam. So the continuation of imamat with Amir al-Mu'mineen, but the sadness comes when one realizes that this is the greatest cover-up in the history of Islam. That 100,000 plus people stood on the plains of Ghadir, witnessed everything that happened, but yet they turned against him. They turned away from him, they stayed silent. And what an individual they turned away from. Who is Ali? Who is Ali? That a Christian, when writing a book about his life, he is compelled to entitle it As-Sawt al-Adalat al-Insaniyya, the voice of human justice. Who is Ali? Hear who Ali is from the voice, from the lips, from the tongue of Ali himself. When he enters into the battlefield of Khaybar, and Marhab comes out. قَدْ عَلِمَتْ خَيْبَرْ أَنِ الْمَرْحَبِ. All of Khaybar knows that I am Marhab. I am a seasoned warrior. I strike with my sword, I attack with my spear. Even the lions of the deserts run away from Marhab. Now Amir al-Mu'mineen, hearing the words of Marhab, he takes out the Dhul-Fiqar. He raises the raya of Islam, the flag of Islam, and he addresses Marhab. He says, أَنَا الَّذِي سَمَّتْنِي أُمِّي حَيْدَرًا. I am the one whose mother named him Haydara. زِرْغَامٌ عَجَامٌ لَيْثٌ قَصْوَرًا عَلَى الْأَعْدَاءِ مِثْلُ رِيحٍ سَرَصَرًا أَنْقُلُ بِالسَّيْفِ كَيْلُ السَّنْدَرًا أَضْرِبُ بِالسَّيْفِ رِكَابُ الْكَفَرًا. He says, I am the one whose mother named him Haydar. I am the attacking lion of the desert. I am that lion that obliterates its prey. I am the one whose sword falls upon the necks of the kuffar, removing their heads from their necks. Hearing this, Marhab begins to shake. The narration says his whole body began to shake. فَتَرَدَّدَ. He became afraid and he turned back. Narration says Shaitan came in the form of an old rabbi, because Marhab had heard the narration, the prophecy that a rabbi had told him before. Said, Marhab, know one thing. غالب على كل غالب حيدر ابن أبي طالب. Never go out and fight a man by the name of Haydar. He goes back, Shaitan comes in the form of an old rabbi. He says, Marhab, there are many other Haydars in this world. This is not that Haydar. How do you know? Go out and fight him. He goes out and he meets his ultimate end. That is the Imam whose imamat, whose wilayat we celebrate. That is the Imam whose name is taught to us from a young age. That is the Imam who every time we hear his name, or every time we should hear his name, it brings a smile to our faces. It is that Imam whose name gives rise to youth in the old, and it gives passion to the youth. It is that Imam whose hand was raised, as you heard from the Sayyid earlier, in front of all of those individuals. And it was that Imam who was introduced to all of them, but every single one bar a few of them turned against him. And his pain is highlighted in Khutbah Shaykhiyyah, where he says, it was like a thorn was within my eye. It was like a bone was stuck within my throat. I couldn't swallow it. I couldn't blink in order to remove it. I had to stand and sit quietly and watch what was happening to the Ummah. The topic I've been given is awaiting the Imam of our time in light of Ghadir. And this introduction that I have given you, it sets up what I wanted to talk about. Something that Sister Rebecca eloquently touched on before. And I want to work on that same premise. That 100,000 plus individuals stood in the plains of Ghadir, the Prophet of their time in front of them, the Imam of their time in front of them, a very open revelation in front of them, but yet when it came to the crux, they all turned against him. Or if they didn't turn against him, they stayed silent, thus became party to the oppression upon Ahlul Bayt. The question that we have to ask ourselves in light of Ghadir is, will we turn against or stay silent when our Imam comes and he tells us to do something that is not in line with this house of cards of Islam that we have created? This house of Islam that we have built upon sand, this watered down version of the faith that we so readily accept. When he comes and gives us the true Islam, will we have the courage? Will we have the ability to swallow our pride and be able to accept what he is saying? Or will we turn against him or stay silent in front of him the same way 100,000 people, not just 100,000 people, no, 100,000 companions. Not just 100,000 companions, 100,000 Hujjaj, not just 100,000 Hujjaj, but amongst them many of them Hafiz of the Quran. Many of them who witnessed the life of Amirul Mu'mineen, but when it came down to it, they turned away from him. They had no unity amongst themselves. How are we going to counter it? How are we going to stop turning against the Imam of our time? How are we going to accept his wilayat? Because wilayat is not, like I said in yesterday's event, wilayat is not worn on the sleeve. Wilayat is not shown by having a zulfiqar tattooed to my forehead, or to my arm, or to my back, or having a zulfiqar hanging around my neck, or in the rear view mirror of my car. Wilayat is far greater than that. Wilayat is not being born as Sayyid. Wilayat is far greater than that. Because wilayat is farad. Being born from the family of Ahlul Bayt is fadl, is virtue. It's a narration from the 6th Imam. He says, surely the wilayat of Ali ibn Abi Talib is more dearer to me than wiladat, being born from amongst the children of Ali. For surely being born a Sayyid is a virtue, but having the wilayat is an obligation. Wilayat is not worn on the sleeve. Wilayat is not contained within our names. Wilayat is far greater than that. Wilayat is far greater than that. It is far more spiritual than that. It is far more deeper than the superficial wilayat that we have created for ourselves. Because it was that superficial wilayat that was shown after the death of the Holy Prophet. Because on the face of it, they all came, Bakhin, Bakhin, Yabna Abi Talib. They all came, they congratulated him. But the superficial wilayat, its true colors were shown in Saqifa. It was shown. Because that wilayat was superficial. It was lip service. Because they didn't live that life. They didn't have the unity amongst themselves. So how do we counter it? How do we bring about that change within our lives in order to counter those individuals that ended up turning against the Imam of their time? First and foremost, unity. I'm going to say something, might be a bit controversial, but I tend to do that anyway. So, here in Manchester, you have a number of youth bodies. And very often than not, these youth bodies don't talk to each other. There is no unity amongst the youth bodies. If there is no unity amongst those who claim to love Amirul Mu'mineen or claim to have the wilayat, then how do we expect to be united when he comes? Because we'll be like, no, we're calling him first. We announced our event first. They say, no. We announced him first. We'll pay him more. We want the Imam in our event. I make light of it, but there is a deep-rooted issue that we have here. It is an issue, if not resolved, will lead to the destruction of our communities. If we continue to split ourselves on the basis of race, we will not survive. If we continue to see people by their races, we will not survive. If we say, oh, Iranians, we can't sit with Pakistanis because, they have too much chili in their food. Or Iraqis, we can't sit with, the Iranians because they have way too much vegetables. We need more meat. We will not survive. If our differences are so petty. If our TV channels cannot unite, we will not survive. If our ulama cannot unite, we will not survive. If we cannot unite against the enemy that is within us, the ghalis, the ghullats, those that are bringing about an extremist form of tashayyu, where they are attacking the tawheed of Ahl al-Bayt and attributing uluhiyyah to Ahl al-Bayt, we will not survive. It is time that we united against these deviant factions within us for the betterment of Ahl al-Bayt. Unite in order to counter a saqifa happening amongst us when our Imam comes. And then I want to leave you with 4 bits of advice that Luqman gives to his son, narrated by Imam Mahdi. Luqman says to his son, Ya Bunayya, I have seen 400 prophets. I have served 400 prophets, and from them I have learned 4,000 bits of wisdom. And I have combined all those 4,000 bits of wisdom into 4 points for you, my son. The first point that Luqman says to his son, Ya Bunayya, iza kunta fi salat, fahfadh qalbak. My son, when you find yourself in the state of salah, praying, preserve your heart. Control your heart. Make sure your heart is focused upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Make sure your heart is focused solely upon the one that you are praying. Not Allahu Akbar. Oh, where did I leave my keys? Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Yeah, they were around there somewhere. What am I going to cook after I finish? Kids are coming home from school. Oh, I've got to do this. Allahu Akbar. إذا كنت في الصلاة فاحفظ قلبك. The second thing that Luqman tells his son, Ya Bunayya, إذا كنت في بيت الغير فاحفظ عينيك. My son, when you find yourself in the house of another, control your eyes. Don't look around at his property wishing that you had this, wishing that you wanted this. The whole concept of nadar, ayn, evil eye, is true, it's in the Holy Quran. But the defense isn't that blue eye. We have different defenses against that. Just hanging the blue eye is not going to save you from it. The recitation of the Muhaffadatayn, Surah Al-Nas, Surah Al-Falaq. Also in your house, having a blue Bismillah, Bismillah written in blue ink. As an individual walks in, if they look at it, the first thing, it neutralizes nazar. Side point. But when you're around in the house of another, فَحْفَظْ عَيْنَيْكَ, control your eyes. Don't look towards the women folk of others. Don't look towards the sisters of others. Control your eyes when you find yourself in the house of another. Ya Bunayya, إذا كنت في بين الناس فاحفظ لسانك. My son, when you find yourself amongst the people, control your tongue. Don't always speak about things that you don't know about. You don't have to comment on everything. Don't we all know someone like that? They have to comment on everything. They've got an opinion on everything. Doesn't matter what it is, they have an opinion on it. And obviously everyone knows there are two subjects that everyone's an expert in, and that's fine. Everyone's an expert in medicine, everyone's got an opinion on that, and everyone's an expert in Islam and religion. That's a given as well. So everyone's got an opinion on that. I don't think that hijab is wajib because of Quran. I don't think that shaving my beard is haram. Everyone has an opinion on religion and medicine. However, Luqman tells his son, Ya bunayya, when you're amongst the people, control your tongue. And you see, when we increase our silence, according to narration, our wisdom increases. The more quiet you are, the wiser you become. The less you say, then what you say is more wiser. It has more weight. And then the last thing that Luqman tells his son, Ya bunayya iza kunta fil ma'ida fahfadh halqak. My son, when you find yourself sitting at the dinner table, control what goes in your mouth. When you look towards the narrations of Ahlul Bayt in regards to spirituality and the development of our spiritual self, hunger is there at the forefront. Feeling hungry, reducing the amount we eat, reducing the amount of meat we eat, reducing the time or controlling the times when we eat it, how much we eat. All of this has an effect on our spirituality. Eating meat consecutive for 40 days will harden the heart. Reducing meat, increasing vegetables. Sorry to those Arabis in the room. Reducing meat, increasing vegetables. It will soften your heart. It will incline you towards Allah. Pick up any narration. Even when the Holy Prophet goes on Mi'raj, the Holy Prophet said, Allah asked the Holy Prophet, Ya Ahmed, do you know when my abd is the closest to me? He says, no, Ya Allah. He says, when he is hungry, or she is hungry, obviously, it's about everyone. When she is hungry, or he is hungry, and when he is in the state of sajda, or she's in the state of sajda. And Ayatollah Misbah Yazdi says that imagine now an individual who is both hungry and in the state of sajda. And then Allah says to him that, do you know what the benefits of hunger are? He says, no, Allah, I don't. He says, the first benefit of hunger is that that individual will be given hikmah, he will be given wisdom. The second benefit of hunger is that that individual will only speak the truth. The third benefit of hunger is that that individual will draw near to me. The fourth benefit of hunger is that that individual will have huzn da'im, will have constant grief within their heart, i.e. on the external they're happy, but inside their heart they are pained, not knowing whether their Lord is happy with them. Because the sixth Imam says, I am shocked at that abd who is happy, but yet he does not know whether his Lord is happy with him or not. Staying hungry will increase that grief in the heart. And the final thing, Allah says that the one that accustoms himself or herself to hunger is that individual will not care whether they are in poverty or richness. They will be satisfied. Each of these points will help us recognize our Imam. Ghadir tells us that the recognition of the Imam, he can stand in front of you. It is not a given that he will or you will side with him. 120,000 individuals bear witness to that fact. And just because you say you await him, just because you say you love him, it does not mean that we will recognize him. We need to do more, and that more comes through the purification of the soul. We pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us the ability to be able to better ourselves to be able to recognize the Imam of our time. We pray that our Imam continues to look towards us with his looks of mercy. Oh Allah, those who are ill, give them shifa. Those who are in debt, clear their debts. Oh Allah, those who are in education, make them successful. Oh Allah, give strength to those that volunteer in this organization and allow them to continue the good work that is being done. Oh Allah, hasten the reappearance of the Imam of our time and allow us to be amongst his true awaiters. For the acceptance of these du'as and any other du'as that the brothers and sisters have brought, please recite 3 loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali.